I'm just taking a quick time out to talk to you about the energy updates that have been happening in the last couple of days, but particularly about the turning point that we're at today. I spoke yesterday about the clashing fronts that we've had in both the solar and the lunar activity. As most people would know, everything that happens in the external, tangible world is purely a reflection of what is happening inside. So with those masculine and feminine energy embodiments, that are our celestial beings, both coming to energy peaks, there's been a natural conflict happening. And as I've explained, this could manifest in some external conflicts in relationships and people around you, even if you're not directly involved, or inner conflicts. The other thing is this has been a real clearing period. With the planetary alignments at the moment, especially how the planets are behind the sun and the position of the Earth relative to the moon, there's been the ideal conditions for this clearing to happen where, especially with a few transits that have just happened, there is literally a big chunk of people that are experiencing the end of 10 to 15 year plus traumatic cycle. So there's a lot happening. If you want to learn more about this, I highly suggest looking into astrology, astronomy, and finding out about that side of things. But even without looking into it, if you're watching this video, I'm going to go with the fact that you can probably intuitively feel these things quite a lot, even if you don't so much have the words for it. And although initially this came to me as well, but although I've heard the word clearing put out there a lot, I actually had something come through to me in meditation early this morning when the full moon was at its peak, at least here, where it's not so much a clearing as it is a purging, a planetary purging, and not the bad kind. What I was seeing literally was more like this, like we've had energies that have been dragged through the planet and have that chance to pass through and are forcefully being dragged out. So I experienced this today myself. This is why I'm recording this, is because normally when there's a full moon, I'm super energized and really just want to get shit done. It's a fabulous day, and many of my witchy community understand this. Most people wouldn't understand this. Women are inherently aligned with the moon. Our bodies respond to the cycles of the moon. A lot of us have a natural draw to the moon, even over the sun. So full moons are normally an exciting time, but something unusual happened today that I wasn't expecting. So as of yesterday, last night, at least in this part of the world, we reached the peak of the solar activities where that last lot of plasma waves were hitting the Earth, and that was causing energy slumps for a lot of people, but in a different kind of way to what I'm about to talk about. Today, when I was expecting a real high and had a huge list of things that I wanted to do, I had a shutdown day. Now, it wasn't an energy slump day, it was something completely different. And this has to do with what I was talking about the clearing slash purging energy that the greater system is facilitating for right now. As the case is with full moon, I normally go for a drive and sit on the beach and meditate, listening to the waves crashing, and I actually sat on the top of a hill feeling the really strong winds rushing through me and felt like they were literally moving the earth that I was sitting on. It was a crazy feeling. It was the time that I got this whole push, pull, purge, like forcibly dragging through type thing come through. Then went home on high, as expected. Thought, I'm just going to sit down and meditate for a little while and then I'll get stuck into the day. And that's when a little bit of a shutdown started to happen. Now, it's easier said, but I do believe that the difference has to be experienced. I know a lot of you have experienced this difference where it's not a full slump. It more felt like the system being thankful for a reprieve in the really full-on hectic energies that have come through, and the system just wanted to take a rest. I went with it. I've learned not to fight my body. When I do, it will directly have an impact. I learned better. I had a rest. We actually have a really nice, cool day here. It's beautifully overcast. some nice cool breeze comes through, and that's in contrast to the really hot weather that we've had recently. All the more reason why I thought that I was going to be super productive and get out into the garden and just get through a list of things that I had to do. Instead, I took full advantage and sprawled out on my bed and enjoyed that cooler reprieve and got a bit more of a rest after my first meditation session. Now, halfway through the day, I woke up, and as I normally do when I wake up, I like to go back into meditation. The first 20 minutes upon your waking are pretty crucial, especially the full benefits of the meditative state and the brain waves that you're in. I instantly went back into meditation for quite a while, but during that time, I started to get a bit of a churned up stomach. I knew instinctively at that moment it was part of this purge happening. This is different to initial awakening symptoms where you can go through a much more dramatic purge and the dark night and all that sort of stuff, which I'll be posting about later because that isn't a set and forget thing. You can go through this periodically over time, even as spiritually advanced as you are. I still knew in that moment that there was some sort of purging happening, and it wasn't like memories coming up or traumas, but there was energies that had to rise. I also knew in that moment it was a collective rising of energy, and that's why it had such a visceral effect on me. And there is something major happening in the collective, I will feel that in my body. I felt this stirred up energy. It was coming from the Muladhara, that root area. I just went with it. I finished my meditation and I decided to stretch out a little bit longer and allow that process to continue. Whilst in that initial part, when I lay down after meditation, even lying down, I was actually really awake. But in this second part, after I'd had that feeling and just knew instinctively that I needed to lie back down, I was zonked. It really hit me. This surprised me. So when I woke up in the later part of the day, I felt like I've been a little bit ripped off from my full moon energy high with a massive list of stuff that didn't get done. I understood the process that had happened and I felt so much lighter for it, and I instantly grabbed my water bottle, start clearing that energy, moving that energy. I had a big drink, standing outside in my garden and just taking in the life around me and feeling the freshness in the energy around me. I've already recorded a video that goes into detail a lot further about dealing with energy slumps like we've just experienced, like I know a lot of people have experienced, and what you might be able to do to help that process and even understanding that process to begin with. I will get to editing that a little bit later. I just wanted to actually talk to you about the change today and get your feedback, because this isn't just a one-sided thing. This is a learning opportunity for all of us to engage and connect and learn from each other. So I want to hear your experiences today, and if you found that you also had a crash out day, but for a different reason, it wasn't that energy heaviness, total system drain that we've been experiencing lately, but something completely different. And also in that time, were you purging anything? Did anything actually come up for you? Did you find that some traumas that had just been a little bit stubborn came up, or even emotional memory from the last couple of weeks where there might have been seemingly minor argument or conflict with somebody around you? Did that come back up today and you see it from a slightly different perspective of, okay, in that moment, I actually did overreact a little bit, or I said a couple of things that hadn't sat well with me and I didn't have the chance to process through those just yet. Today was all about purging these sorts of things, however small that they may seem to you. If they've come back up, it's because you held on to them somewhere and your body just said, no, I'm done. I want a break. And a lot of us listen to it. I listened to it. Now it's over to you. I want to hear how you went with today, what your experiences were, and how you feel lighter now. I'm looking forward to tonight. I know it's going to be a very creative night and I'm going to get a lot done. A bit of kitchen magic, and then I'm going to get stuck into some art. So I look forward to hearing from all of you. And for now, this will be.